Hey everyone, and welcome to another What's Poppin' movie review. This review is going to be as spoiler-free as possible. I will not get into plot details or twists or the ending or anything like that. I'm just going to give you my general thoughts and whether or not I think it's worth a ticket buy or better just to wait for it to come to streaming. And a couple things I want to say right off the bat is Christopher Nolan, the man, likes to play with high concepts. You've seen it in Inception. You've seen it in the way he shot Memento. You've seen it in a load of his films, how he likes to really play with the audience's mind in order to try and get them thinking and possibly rewatch the movie a bunch of different times. This time, I tell you, this one was hard to really wrap my head around, and I won't say all the ins and outs of how it all works in case you've wanted to avoid any spoilers at all. I'll just say that the movie didn't necessarily win me over in the way it tried to explain itself, and it kind of leaves you up to fill in the blanks, which is respectable in some instances, and in some instances I actually really like to know a little bit more. So for me, I wish it did kind of tell me a little bit more about how things were going on, and the reason I think the biggest reason why it didn't do that is because this movie moves, man. It's scene to scene. I mean, it's just constantly, it's like, let's walk and talk. Sometimes it's like, let's jog and talk. It is just, you're going. And it's definitely not a movie you're going to fall asleep at. I'll say that as well. As always, Christopher Nolan knows how to hold and use cameras. He also knows how to use practical effects, explosions, all that stuff, and it looks fantastic. The music too. I mean, it's a little bit bass heavy at times to where you can't hardly hear some people talking in some certain scenes, and I don't know if that's my personal theater, which I don't usually have issues with that in mine, or if that's the movie. I'm assuming it's the movie, but the music, the directing, and heck, even the acting was top tier. I mean, really, really believable. It doesn't take you long at all to really get drawn into the movie. I would say that Robert Pattinson, John Washington, Kenneth, my boy Lockhart, is that his name? Yeah, Gilderoy Lockhart is not Gilderoy Lockhart in this at all. He is sincerely an intimidating man, and pretty much all the cast. I mean, Michael Caine is in this movie for like a blink and you miss it scene. I think that was a bit of a deceitful bit to put him in some of the marketing, because he's really not involved too much. But I would say that for the most part, though, this movie is a spy, James Bond, a action piece, set piece that is you're trying as the audience trying to catch up and understand. For me, the movie didn't really kick off and wow me until like the last act, maybe a little bit before the last act as well. I was like, oh cool, this is where he was really trying to go with some of the high concept epicness for the movie. So I really struggled with coming up with a rating to give this thing, because I really do like the way it was directed. I really do like the way a lot of the actors portrayed themselves and the characters in the film, and I really love the score throughout quite a bit of this movie. However, as someone who really likes to comprehend what I'm watching in that moment, not feel too lost, way too many times, at least for me, I got pulled out of the movie because I'm just like, wait, what? How? That doesn't that doesn't make sense to me. And I was too busy thinking about what had happened that I wasn't able to be truly in what was happening, which I think is a bit of an issue for me, at least. And this is obviously my opinion. You have to try and check it out for yourselves, but I'm going to say this is getting a very, very, very lightly buttered from me. It's in the cusp between a plain and a buttered rating, which if you are unfamiliar with our rating system, we go from burnt all the way up to the golden bucket, 1 to 5, and 4 is usually where I would say a movie of this caliber goes. But for the sheer fact that it's real easy, unless you're hyper intelligent or hyper focused on the dialogue, which you can't hardly hear at times, you're not going to really understand what's going and why. And if that's not an issue for you, then absolutely this is a 4. But for me, it is a bit of an issue, and so I have to give this like a 3.5. It's a rare 3.5. For me. But anyway, guys, if you have not yet, feel free to like the video if you liked it. If you do not, do no such thing as liking it. Comment below if you've seen the movie yourself or if you plan to, and what you're hoping to see in the movie. And also check out the other review that we have up this week, which was for The New Mutants, in case you're curious what I thought about that. Jimmy, however, did not get a chance to see any of these because where he is, theaters are not open. But obviously, whenever we get a chance to have seen it, we will be discussing it on the podcast. Speaking of, this week's episode, if you have not noticed, is not going to be out this week. There's not a lot of news aside from really, really depressing news, and we figured we would tackle that news in the next week's podcast when there is more other news as well, so it's not quite as depressing as it is. Also, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Ring that bell, and I will catch you guys later.